starting. Okay.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing safe. I hope everyone is safe and doing good. I'm Novashri, and Shivesh and myself would be hosting the event today. We have Sameer Heware with us, who would be talking about industry and how it is, how things are, and he'll be giving his insights about his experience in industry. So let me just say a few things about him, about his background. He did his BE in Electronics and Communication from University of Technology of Madhya Pradesh, and then worked with Aeronautical Development Agency for 1 year or so. Then he did his MTech from IIT Bombay and is currently working in Western Digital. So as a system design engineer. So he'd be presenting up his views and how what is his experience in industry, and later we'll take up the questions. For questions, you can post your questions on the chat box, or else you can raise your hand, and then individually we can have a live talk with the speaker. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
Novashri. Good afternoon, all. Nice to see all of you here. Hope you are keeping safe in this COVID situation. Yeah, so actually I have got few questions from Sakshi already. So when I go over my talk, I'll cover all those questions which I got from Sakshi. Uh, okay, let me share my PPT. So mostly I'll talk about how the core industries are going and growing actually, mainly in the field of storage. So my background is a storage, so I joined Western Digital. So I'll be talking about storage, and I'll also correlating with other core industries and to see what all opportunities we have in the core field or in the semiconductor field to be specific. So, okay. So, I'll start my journey, means how I achieved this Western Digital job, and from my engineering to masters, and what all challenges I faced. So I'm not presenting any PPT right now. So let me start. So actually, I belong to a very small place called Sarni. So I grown up there and then started my schooling, and then moved to Bhopal. So till that, I was not knowing I will be doing engineering or not. So yeah, so I interacted many friends, and then I joined triple and state level exam, and then yeah, so engineering is kind of a good experience. And then many people in engineering started their masters. What to do next? So that question will come to you when you will be in the third year or fourth year of your college. So the same questions also came to my mind, what to do next. So that time, back in 2008, so I'm 2008 pass out. So that it was a kind of IT boom that time, and suddenly 2008 was a recession period for India. So many of my colleagues and many of my batchmates got placements, but they did not get a call or offer letter after that. So I was also one of them. So I was recruited in Satyam Computers. Satyam Computers is actually, there was a Satyam scan back in 2008. So yeah, I also did not get an offer letter. I was placed, but I did not get an offer letter. So I was also preparing for GATE exam. It was my plan to do a master's. So yeah, I prepared for GATE and also searched for public sector job, and I got a job in government agency. And I also wrote a GATE exam, and then yeah, I got admission in IIT Bombay. I applied several times, many colleges, but I picked the IIT Bombay. Even if I was RA in IITB in electrical engineering. It was 3 years course, but I chose IITB because IITB was the best, is the best. Okay. So yeah, so ADA actually I did job for 6 months. A lot of things I learned there, but yeah, still I felt like engineering, only engineering, if you want to go in a core field, engineering is not enough. So engineering as in, so I did engineering from RGPV. So the engineering knowledge from all these colleges not that great, to be specific, than IIT Bombay. But yeah, I want to learn more. So that's why I chose to quit the job in ADA. So ADA is, be specific, we were developing Tejas LCA fighter plane. So I was a part of small unit in there, which were developing some front panel for the fighter plane. So I quit that job and joined Masters in 2012. And then in Masters, yeah, so I was in communication branch. So I was in RA and I chose signal processing and image processing subject there. And yeah, so then after that I recruited in SanDisk. So it's now a Western Digital. So Western Digital acquired SanDisk. Uh, so I'll go over my Western Digital journey also. Yes, later. And yeah, so there are questions many people asked, why you did not pursue PhD? Yeah, so PhD is kind of a choice. Means if you ask whether to pursue PhD, further studies, so you will have different answer from many people, different people. So yeah, will not get exact answer. So you can consider, see, if you join industry, there also you will learn. In PhD also you will learn. So PhD is like a, it's kind of the knowledge you will go in depth for any specific field. So if you are in microelectronics, you will choose some subject and go deeper into that subject, right? So that is PhD. It's not a degree only. It's a you will develop a mindset. So when you do PhD, you will go depth into the knowledge, and then you will get a mindset. That mindset. So every problem you will look like how to go, how to approach that problem. So you will develop your mindset. So I would say PhD is a mindset uh, rather than a degree. Uh, yeah. So I never thought of doing PhD. So I thought, let me go to uh, this industry and try. If it is, if I feel later that I should do PhD, then I'll definitely go. But yeah, so during IIT, I just thought, let's join some company and then later we'll see whether I need to do a postdoc or PhD or not. Okay. So in PhD also you will uh, uh, try to solve. You will do R&D kind of research, right? So you go deeper into the problem, try to solve it. So same we do in the company also, but in a different way. Like company, you need to not only focus on R&D, right? Only on the solving problem. You need to learn, you need to execute, you need to deliver, right? You need to build a product out of something. So you need to see, you need to talk to your cross-functional team. So how you manage and talk to your colleagues. And yeah, it's kind of different environment than PhD. Of course, the learning is there in both the fields. So it's actually, it's up to you how you want to go, how you want to pursue. So PhD, a lot of people I see after doing a 2 or 5 year job, they do pursue PhD. in some cases, people do PhD after 10-15 years also. So I see in my company also many people are pursuing PhD after 10 to 15 year experience also. So about the PhD, why one should pursue PhD, why one should not, and there is no definite answer for that. It's just that if you have opportunity, like you have a choice, you can do PhD. But choice in the sense good choice. You have a good option, then you can go for PhD. Okay, so both way you can learn. In the industry also you can learn, in the PhD also. So I'll quickly share my PPT. So I'll present my WTC journey. So I'll be switching off the camera here so that my bandwidth is good, and I'll share the PPT. You can see my screen, right? Shivesh, no Ashri.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's visible.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so so the agenda is for today's core talk is to see what all opportunities are there in the core industries. So basically, I will talk you through storage industries, but these are all connected, right? Storage. So if you see around all the digital gadgets around you, every gadgets will have a memory inside, right? So memory is just one component of that. So everything is around that memory is you are actually using the memories as an application. Okay, you're developing an application around the memory. So I'll go over that, and I'll also cover the questions which Sakshi asked me. So I covered most of them before this. So yeah, post your queries in Teams box, Teams Q&A section. We'll go over that later. So this just a quick intro. Actually, I already Sakshi had given you. So I'm just skipping over that. Okay. So this is just a disclaimer I have put. So I'm just declaring that I'm not providing any confidential data of my company. So so I'll just go over whatever is the things are available publicly. So that's all. Yeah. So if you see evolution of storage devices, right? Starting from your hard disk, floppy drive, tape recorder, magnetic tape. So one thing in common in that is, right, it's all about rotating device around it. Yeah. So so hard disk and DVD we are already using currently. Many laptops are still using hard drive and DVD drives. Yeah, so there are a lot of research happened already in the HDD uh, drives. So related to your disk, MMR, so magnetic assistant drives, and then the magnetic assistant means there is a heating element which reads this disk data. So this is actually kind of end of life. As you see, you don't see now these days in the laptop with the hard drives. Everything is moving to solid state drives. Solid state drives, it's actually no moving parts. You can see the NAND sitting here, memory sitting here, and then controller, and then the same interface what you do in the SDD. So to make it backward compatible. Okay, and then next is your cloud storage, right? So this is the future, and it's actually lot of our mobile data actually sync to your cloud storage, right? When you open Google Photos, every photo is getting synced to your cloud storage. But here in cloud storage, we don't care whether it's getting stored in solid state device or a hard drive, right? So it is getting stored in the cloud and you feel your data is safe. So that is um, that storage company's headache that the data should be safe, right? Okay. Yeah. So we'll go over this. I'll cover mainly the solid state device and see how what all where all we use this solid state devices, right? So let's cover this more time here. So application of storage device, right? So when I say storage device, it's a generic device where you store the your media. So let's talk about the compute class, right? So compute class, as you see, you have a laptop, servers, and all. So a lot of research are going in improving the performance, power. Uh, so you have processor inside that, graphics you need. Uh, yeah. So every time. So every year, maybe every generation of the components, every generation of product they build, you need to improve the performance, right? So you cannot keep the same performance because the data is coming, generating. We are generating a lot of data every day. So you need to be very fast. You need to be a performance lead. So a lot of improvements are happening here. So for to so we for that also we need to solve a lot of problems in the device storage also. Okay. So yeah, so that is one application of storage. And then if you see the media storage, media application. So you see a lot of camera, CCTV, set-top box. So camera, there are a lot of demand right now. So camera, it's not like only DSLR camera. It's a movie camera also, which are going uh, actually drastically. A lot of growth happening in the camera side also. So like we have a Bollywood, Hollywood cameras, right? So they are also moving from tape recording to a digital recording media. So I'll go over the products, which all products we use for those. So camera, like uh, lot of why camera is going growth is important here because a lot of content we are generating from 2K to we are going to 4K and then 4K to 8K. So when there is a 8K, you means you need a high performance, right? And then your storage media should sustain that performance. And also we'll talk about more what all features storage device we need to look into. And one more thing is the gaming. So gaming is actually a lot of uh, challenges we are facing. So gaming, it's a lot of graphics content, right? You need to have a GPU, you need to have high processing CPUs, and also the main factors about the processors are powers and performance, right? So every generation you need higher performance and all. So yeah, it's a lot of if you need performance, you need to use some kind of SRAM or DRAM, so faster access. But though that will come with the cost. So gaming industries are also moving towards the storage. Can we use storage faster, reliable, um, solid state drives, whether they can be used here? And then there are various applications coming. This is not limited to this number of applications. There are a lot of applications coming in for the media storage, like a drone, medical applications. So all these application or all these products require different kind of product spec. So if I use one storage media, that will not suffice for camera. That requirement will be different for camera, different for CCTV, different for set-top box, gaming, and drone, right? So, excuse me. Yeah. So, yeah. So, a lot of we need to generate a lot of different kind of products to meet the requirement. Yeah. So, if you see, there are a lot of innovation going on here in the media storage. So, a lot of applications are coming. How to use storage as a device and build the product out of it. Embedded applications, right, where you use mobile. So mobile, if you go back to 10 years back, we are having Nokia i63 kind of mobile. Now everyone has a smartphone. So you will need, so a lot of markets is ongoing there. Like a lot of companies are developing processor for mobile, and then a lot of software industries coming with applications for those mobiles. So you are generating a lot of content also in your mobile. So you need a higher processing power, and then media. So your mobile need a storage device also. So we build the product for those mobiles also. You have mobile MP3 player, then tablets, then smartwatches. So automotive is one of the field where it's changing. Like every car has now the screen touch. You have a lot of application inside the car, right? So a lot of software development opportunities there, processing unit, and then later on you have so a lot of actually application coming for the smart devices. Like when you keep your phone on a, let's say, device where you are a Wi-Fi charger, the same Wi-Fi charger can take the backup of your phone, right? So those kind of smart devices you can build around the storage. Okay. So other than that, a lot of AI and machine learning is ongoing in the storage domain also. How you process the data, how can I, like in drone, if you want to learn any specific terrain, right? So how you build the application around it and process the data in the storage media itself. Yeah, so a lot of research and development ongoing on this area. Yeah, so in my WDC journey also, I joined in 2012, and I see a lot of product coming out in these 8 years. So 8 years is my journey in WDC. Yeah. So in when I joined WDC, it was around 250 to 30 people. Now we're around 2000 plus in the Western Digital India. So yeah, so a lot of growth happened, and I saw this growth in Western Digital. Not perfect actually in Western Digital, but I have seen various storage devices industries growing. Not only Western Digital, other companies which actually work in the storage device. Yeah, so that's why I see like yeah, this company is growing, and then this is the opportunity for me to grow in the storage devices. It's a lot of things to learn, a lot of things are coming new, a lot of gadgets are coming. People are developing gadgets. They need storage devices. So next is this cloud storage. So a lot of work is happening around this cloud storage. So cloud computing is one of them. Then data centers are growing rapidly. So for meeting your data centers capacity, you need a storage devices. You need to build the market there, right? So yeah, so how to improve efficiency of data centers? A lot of things are ongoing there. So it's all combination of your, if you see, we'll talk about later also, your from silicon to your uh, product development, and then building the application around that product, right? So you see research and development happening everywhere. Okay, and then storage devices, we are the one part of storage device. If you see around that, there are a lot of R&D and a lot of okay. So that's what I see. So industries are growing very rapidly. Yeah, so that's what I never felt like growing for higher studies. So I'm still learning because a lot of things are happening around the storage devices. Okay. So current trend where we are growing is the mobile industry, and then camera, and then areas where we are growing, and then yeah. So that's what I feel a lot of learning here in this storage industry. So I never thought of doing any higher studies uh, because of this. Okay. Yeah, so these are the product storage product mainly. These are not limited to these products. A lot of product actually storage industries are building it. Uh, so if you see the SD micro SD card, right? So these are not like a same SD card we use everywhere. So there are categories we build on the SD card, and then so like for drone, you need a different kind of SD card which has a higher P cycle, program erase cycle, and for mobile we'll use different kind of SD card because when you access any application, right, you need to maintain that speed performance, right? uh, so you can say random read and write kind of performance. So for different application we build a different kind of products. Even if you see SD cards, so there are different industrial category and all camera category. uh, yeah. And yeah, so these cards are actually used in camera. So yeah, so this compact flash we already used in all DSLR cameras. So this is end of life, and then we are developing all the other cards for mainly uh, higher frame rate cameras, like which is used in Bollywood, Hollywood movies, compact flash, and all the other products you already know. This iNAND is actually integrated NAND where you uh, develop a package with controller and your memory inside a single chip, right? So this iNAND is goes into your mobile and tablet and all embedded applications, even in cars. And then this we already know. So this goes in your data centers, and majority of all these products are actually designed and developed in India, right? So if you see a lot of opportunity, you can see yeah. So when I say design and develop means starting from scratch design, and then of course manufacturing will be in the other countries like China or Japan. But yeah, all the design and concept is actually done in India. So a lot of growth opportunity. Like I said, so our company itself grown from 200 to 10 times we grow, right? So a lot of growth opportunities here. So for designing and development, right, you need the hardware and all the infrastructure built in, right, in the India itself. So a lot of startups are coming to help us, and a lot of small companies actually are growing because of this. So because for developing product you need a hardware support, you need a software support. Okay, and then so hardware also we need to manufacture locally, design, and then there are local assembly and all we need to do in India only, right? So a lot of growth is happening in their side also, that side. And yeah, so I'll just talk about what all components are there in storage device, and yeah, what all growth seeing on this. Okay, so this looks very simple, but yeah, it's not that simple, right? So if you see this is host can be anything, right? Camera, computer, and anything, any application or any hardware, smart storage you will be using, right? So you need to you need to develop a if you see this overall device, you have a host connector which will be interacting with your internet device. So a lot of PHY related companies are there which develop a physical layer. You see physical layer which interact with the host. So physical layer can be of any using any protocol like PCI, NVMe, PATA, SATA, USB. So every controller or processor will have this PHY. So PHY is a kind of IP. So IP, there are a lot of companies which are actually developing these IPs. Okay, so in PCI NVMe also there are a lot of grades, right? Generations. Uh, yeah, so it's all like cost and performance, and so based on that, any company can choose which one to pick. Right? And then you have a power management IC. So around power management IC, uh, so these are like a extra component we add in the drives which manage the power of all the drives, right? So power management is IC actually. Many company develop different kind of IC based on the requirement come from the host, come from the customer, right? So for the same PMIC IC does not go to all storage media, right? So you have different requirement, different controller processor which will be managed by this power management IC, right? Uh, yeah, so you can see the requirement in this simple storage industry. You can see a lot of things actually people are developing, companies are developing, a lot of research are ongoing there in that side also. Okay, and then for storage device you need a ASIC, which is application specific IC. We call it as a controller. So there are a lot of companies which develop a controller for storage devices. So for inside the controller, there can be many components. You need DRAM, SRAM. You need a CPU. Okay, so CPU also is growing, and there are a lot of open source processing unit is happening, like RISC-V. RISC-V is one of them, which is open source. So any company develop CPU using that, and then they can use that in the product. So this is one of the area which is very much growing. And then yeah, so other components are like AES and ECC. ECC is actually correction capability of your data stored in the flash. So uh, in this area also a lot of research are going, like BCH engine, LDPC engines, all your uh, data statistics they read and then develop a IP. So currently in many industries, they are actually uh, uh, making software in the form of hardware, right? So a lot of this mathematical problems and statistical problem we can handle using a code, right? But that will be very slow. If you want to build a product very fast performance, you need to build the hardware IP. So various companies are actually going towards developing IP for the product, uh, which will go in not only storage domain. If you take any product, every product will have inside the controller or CPU, you will have a hardware IP, which will be very fast. So a lot of growth is happening in that side. Okay, and then of course the NAND package, NAND. So NAND side also, so earlier we used to use 2D NANDs, and we used to talk about in scale in nanometer. Right now we are in 3D NAND era. So here we talk about the layers. So in this area also, um, various research are going. So people are actually talking about uh, doing research about uh, uh, research uh, reduce the cost and keep the same performance and power, right? So this scaling we do is to save the cost, right? So yeah, you can Google it, what all things are happening in the NAND side. Uh, yeah, so yeah, so this is only I want to talk about the storage side. Uh, yeah, and of course, a lot of industrial growth is happening around it. R&D researches are going around it, and so people are actually starting up their uh, work, like startups. Lot of startups are also coming. But yeah, in the market is like that. Every company want to be number one. Okay, so these companies are actually they don't want other company to come up. So either they will kill this all those company and then or acquire that company. So that's what is happening in today's industry, semiconductor industry especially. Uh, yeah. So all these things we learn in industries, but of course, uh, yeah, if you want to go to higher studies, uh, that will be mainly depend on your choice. That's what I would say. Uh, so if because all these things you will learn in the company, but it's like company environment is very different than the college environment. So in college you will be uh, very independent. You will be doing your you will be learning very independently. But in companies, so you need to develop a product, right? You need to execute it. So you will be learning, but it will be very uh, kind of somebody's actually standing in your head. Okay, so some people like it, some people does not like it. So you can decide based on that. Uh, and yeah, if you see a lot of things are yet to come out from your silicon. So how how your how you improve the process in the silicon, what all material to use. Okay, I'll go over the last slide. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so you can do a simulation research in so a lot of actually all these companies are actually interacting with the colleges, right, universities, because a lot of research R&D cannot happen in the industry itself, right? So a lot of companies actually interact with the universities to do all this R&D kind of development. So there are students come up with the idea which can be productized. So a lot of things we can see in the silicon side happening in the college itself, universities itself, and then yeah, and then you need to do system innovation, all your mechanical packaging, and then how you develop the application around it, software, you need hardware, you need firmware in the controller, which is your logic inside the controller, right? Yeah, and then platform innovations also, how to build the product, how to uh, debug the products and all around it. You need to uh, so when you build a product, you need to see how you debug it, how you do failure analysis, all those automation tools. Yeah. So these are all industrial growth. So yeah, of course, if there is a, because each product come up with a different challenges. Like in storage, your memory is actually getting developed, right? And then you need a lot of changes, failures in there, a lot of changes and a lot of uh, uh, failure, as in if your chip is new, right? And if you want to still want to productize that, you need to provide some system solution, right? How you handle those kind of uh, failure modes, right? Defect in the NAND, defect in the controller can be uh, used firmware workaround, software workaround. Yeah, so in industries also you will have patents, right? When you give get any problem, you find a solution, right? So a lot of patent ideas you can file in the industries. Yeah, and yeah, so a lot of people ask a question why there are no silicon or chip manufacturing industry in India, right? So uh, let's understand this. So this chip and all, right? These are all automated from comes with each and every process is actually automated in the machine, right? So yeah, so if you see the factories, so we have Kioxia, where we actually build the NAND dies. So if I have seen the video where everything is automated, so it's a dark room where robot comes, pick the wafers, do process, all the process actually happening automatically. So there is not a human interaction overall. So very little human interaction is there. So what kind of jobs will actually develop in those kind of factories? So of course R&D and all process improvement and designing and devising those, we are actually doing it. But we don't need to develop a factory or something in India for that. So yeah, so it's all automated process, and it's like we talk here about the nanometer scale, right? So it has to be very precise, and all those robots are actually developed not already in Japan or some part of China. So they have all the facility, and also we need an infrastructure in India for that, right? So a lot of company already talk, but yeah, uh, the plants are dropped here in India. But yeah, still we don't see any job opportunities because of this manufacturing in India. Okay. And yeah, so of course we need to learn whether we do PhD or join any industrial growth. We need to learn, innovate, and of course have fun. Because if we keep on learning innovation, and yeah, you will get bored. So yeah. So with that, I'll conclude my talk. We'll go over the questions if you guys have.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Sunny. I think the PPT was very insightful. We have better idea of what industry has to offer right now. Like what are the major, emerging parts of the industry where we can work. Uh, I would request everybody to post their questions on chat box or probably just unmute themselves and directly ask questions to Sunny.
So I have my PPT actually. It was mainly because I'm from storage domain, so I talked and tried to touch what all other opportunity other than storage, what all opportunities you can see in the core field. Yeah.
Hi, Samir. Actually, I have a question that
Mm-hmm.
out of that we have been taught that there are five branches: analog, digital, signal, communication, and
Mm-hmm.
control. Out
Yeah.
of these five, which branches have the most potential for industrial opportunities?
Okay. So yeah. So if you see like the product I showed right in the slides, a lot of products we are building, right? So we are in actually digital world, right? So you need analog, digital, all those kind of components in your product. So growth is there. So what I see in the especially in semiconductor industries, so there is a growth, and then suddenly I observed every 4 years there is a ups and downs in the silicon industries. So there is a reason for that, because you build a technology, right? So the technology will be there, and then that will come in saturation, right? So your companies will kind of do some, will go in some overproduction or some underproduction, right? So you will see ups and downs kind of scenario. uh, yeah, but yeah, so we are in digital era, right? So you can see growth in every field of electrical and electronics. Yeah.
Okay,
So if you
thanks.
say microelectronics also, so yeah, so researchers are going in semiconductor field. So how you uh, use silicon in better way. So there are companies which are working on silicon plus opticals. How can we, instead of copper, how can we use the optical in the with the silicon? So those kind of researches are ongoing. Yeah.